Welcome back to the show, everybody. Now it's time to take a look at one of the biggest games of E3 this year and my most anticipated game of the moment, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
Daniel, thank you so much for coming by the show.
Thank you for having me.
Let's jump right into it here. This is a little bit
Yes.
different area than I saw this morning.
Right, yeah, so the trailer showed some stuff off this morning, but this is the demo experience people will be having a chance to have over in the booth and play through. And we showed it to Jose the other day as well.
Right.
But you start here in this little campground area. There's some items to gather here to basically prepare yourself for this journey in this open air exploration as you have to discover everything. And there is no guidelines to where you need to go. You have to kind of decide which way you want to explore. So we have Sarah playing for us over there as well to help us out. And yeah, she's just kind of gathering some different items right now, seeing which is important because actually you will need those items for cooking.
Okay.
Which
and
is an
then
important
cooking, what purpose does cooking serve?
Right. So one big difference in this game right now is when you're playing is usually when you would cut trees down or cut different pieces, you would get hearts. That's no longer the case anymore. Now what you have to do is cook items, or you can eat raw items.
Wow.
But if you cook them in the cooking pot, which we'll show in a little bit, you can then get more power out of it. But right now, yeah, Sarah right now just trying to go into combat as well. You'll just discover things as you go around. She's gathering different items and different weapons too, which is important.
So is it safe to say this is the deepest Zelda game ever?
Yes,
I mean,
even Mr. Arnoon was
like,
talking. Yeah, it's huge. Even the part of the game we're showing right now for this demo experience is about like less than 2%, and this, Mr. Arnoon stated that. So the world is huge to explore. And now she's surfing, shield surfing. Yeah, and that's what's really great too about this demo, about this experience is that you have a chance to really see different things. And right now, Sarah is now finding some treasure chests, but she can't get to them right now. Right there is a pretty. It's not. You can't swim in that pond right there. It's actually a bottomless kind of bog.
Huh.
So she's trying to figure out how best to get in there now, and now she's looking around to see what she can do to discover that. There's one of the shrines, which we won't go into yet. Ah, perfect. So what we're showing off right now is called a rune.
A rune?
Runes. This is one of the powers you have in the game.
Yeah.
And so instead of actually like she has remote bombs, and what she was just using right now is something called magnesis, which is being able to use a magnet to control different items that have metallic properties in them. So now she's found this plank in this other pond, and now she's bringing it over to make a bridge to get to those treasure chests we just saw over there a minute ago.
And this is all like she's not being prompted to do this. She's just sort of discovering this as she explores the environment.
And there's no prompting. It's all kind of there's a little bit of prompts to help you out in some things. And normally you would actually earn this rune by going into the Shrine of Trials. So that's that shrine side. There's over 100 of them. In this demo, there are 4 you can experience. And the shrine basically is a way, going through that Shrine of Trial, you can get a different rune. Like the remote bomb she has is from one shrine, magnesis is from another shrine, and now she's made a bridge. Cautiously, not falling off.
What are we going to find in these treasure chests?
That you don't know until she opens them.
It seems like you've added like a loot system to Zelda. Is that accurate?
You mean
like finding loot?
Oh yeah, a looting system. Yeah, you'll be
Yeah.
discovering things as you explore it, and some things you might. And that's one thing that makes the game really great is that anything you see you can kind of go to, and that's part of the joy of it is that puzzle of trying to figure out how just to get to that next point.
Man.
So she did find 2 arrows, a fire arrow and an ice arrow, and we'll show those off in just a minute. Now she's gonna keep exploring.
So the little green gauge above his head, is that like an energy meter?
Stamina.
Stamina,
Stamina meter, which is important for running around, for climbing, which we've shown a little bit so far. We'll get to that. Well, she'll climb up here, hopefully, as she gathers more items. So you have to always be conscious of how much stamina you have, because if you actually use up all of the stamina, you take a couple seconds to recover, and you'll be moving slower. You have to get around that. So here, Sarah's going to do a little bit of climbing real quick. So if you look over, Sarah, you look over to the left for a second, Sarah? So that's the whole world you can see over there. You can't get to there yet. You're kind of stuck on this plateau right now to learn about the game for right now. And that's what's also really cool. It's this beautiful world, but there's all these things you're going to find. There's all these ruins, and you're wondering why that is, and that's something you'll have to discover as you play the game further.
If stamina runs out while you're climbing, do you just fall?
You'll fall.
Okay.
So you have to be careful of that, too. So she had to wait a minute for her stamina meter to come back to do that.
So let's talk a little bit more about what we're seeing on screen.
Yeah.
We have the familiar hearts in the upper left corner.
Yes, the upper left corner of the hearts.
And then below that, is it what your items you have equipped?
Right, so right now she has the round, she has a shield, a sword, and the upper one you see that little magnet, that's the magnesis.
Okay.
So right here she's discovered a camp of bokoblins. And she's going to do using the Sheikah Slate, which is a tool that Link has to kind of explore and actually even see how much energy each of these bokoblins have. And it'll stay marked over their head so you know how much damage you need to cause them. So she's going to keep sneaking around, hopefully not get spied.
All right, so a creature that's like 13/13, do you have to hit him 13 times?
No, that's how many hit points he has.
Right.
And when you have weapons, which if you bring up the weapon screen for a second, Sarah.
She might. I don't know how well.
Oh, she can see it. So she'll go to the weapon screen. There's those numbers underneath of them. That's how much damage
Very
that
cool.
weapon will do when you use it.
Very cool.
So right now she's actually bringing on the fire arrow. And actually that bokoblin up there in the tower, if he sees you, he'll actually warn all the others. And now these guys are kind of curious what's going on. Now she's using another rune. You can switch runes real quickly. She's now throwing a remote bomb. Hopefully, they're not curious. Oh, couldn't quite hit him. I think she'll have to jump down and take him out. She's switching arrows. And what's really cool, she just did there, by jumping off a higher point, you get that kind of slow motion.
Yeah. And that's
That's
just when you're like jumping off of something?
Jumping off stuff and then bringing out the bow and arrow. It slows down everything.
Well, speaking of jumping,
there is a jump button now.
You can jump.
Yes, you can jump. Sarah, at any moment in time, could jump right now if she wanted to. Yep. Which is important for climbing. That's the whole point that the jumping is there, so that way people could jump onto the wall to start doing climbing. And what she's done here right now is by defeating all the bokoblins in the camp, she's able to now open this treasure chest. And now she was using a normal sword before, but now she has a new sword, which now has 10. So that's how much damage it causes.
And then what do you do with your older equipment? Can you...
You can carry, I believe, carry a certain number of weapons you can carry. I believe there's 8 slots. And you have to be careful because once you fill up those slots, you have to drop weapons instead to do that.
Okay.
So, and that's important. And the whole point is that as you use your weapons, they will actually, the durability, you have to throw them away over time. Oh, but actually, so right now she's actually showing up some cooking.
Great. From
some of the stuff she's gathering. So you can eat the cooking items raw. But what she's done here is actually taken 2 items and combined them. So now instead of getting only like 2 hearts, she now gets multiple hearts.
Nice.
But what's cool though is if you experiment with all of this, it's not just hearts. Sometimes you get special bonuses on top of that as well, which he's doing right now.
You have to find like a campfire like this, or a
campfire,
stove, an oven.
Yeah, the camp. You have to find these camping things. You have to make sure there's fire underneath it to make it happen as well. But she actually, wow. She made a hearty steamed meat, and now she has a ton of extra hearts that are yellow. Yellow hearts are basically, they're not permanent.
Okay.
So if she gets hit, they'll disappear forever. She can't replenish those. So the cooking is a really important factor, and you have to experiment with the cooking to either discover what are the best recipes to have. You can make different kinds of food. Then also, if you actually combine insects and monster parts, you can make elixirs, which give you other properties. Like could be like you can run faster for 10 minutes. You can cold resistance. Things along those lines.
Is cooking all experimental, or will you find recipes?
It's experimental. Right now, all we've shown you have to experiment, so that's part of the discovery process, and I'm sure people will find ways to list out the best recipes when the game finally comes out.
So what do we see in the distance here? Is this going to be a town?
So right now, Jerusalem Plateau, right now you haven't experienced any towns yet on the Great Plateau. These are just another encampment. So you can see there's a bokoblin up top there on the tower, and what Sarah's trying to do right now is sneak around, because there is something inside that cave. So she's trying to quietly sneak around and take out that bokoblin on the tower to avoid warning the others. What's really cool too, if you do, when you're using these arrows, if you actually hit people in the head, it gets critical. You can actually cause more damage. So what she's doing here is actually dropping.
Whoa.
There were a bunch of explosive barrels inside, so there's always different ways to experiment with how you go into each area. So she actually took out all the other bokoblins, but there is one other left in there. A blue bokoblin was a lot more energy, and now is relatively angry that you've taken out his enemies. And now she's using a different weapon. Oh, she picked up a new weapon, but she's going to keep using the claymore.
Yeah, so I like how the different weapons actually appear different.
Yes, the different weapons do have different styles. And actually, while using that weapon, the claymore, you know she was using 2 hands, so she can't use her shield.
Okay.
So that's you're taking trade-offs to that. And what's really cool, you saw her doing that spin move.
Yeah.
She was basically holding down the attack button, so you actually have charge attacks like Link has been known to have in the past. So here she found a treasure chest of, I think more arrows, which is helpful to have. What's cool too is as you shoot your arrows, you can often recover some of them.
Okay.
So you have to always be managing all of that as you go through it.
So what do we know about Hyrule as of right now? It's sort of in a ruined state. Is that right?
Well, we haven't given any details on that yet.
Right,
So
okay.
basically all we're sharing is this part to share the experience of it. So it's a world that you don't know what's going on here yet. So you're just trying to learn and discover what's going on, what it is, what's going on, why is it in ruins. Like right here's a ruined area, and you might recognize these are the Guardians that were in the original trailer shown last year. But now they're all damaged, and you don't know why. So again, it's that sense of discovery. You don't know what's going on in this world right now. The only story element you know so far is that you woke it up. And actually one of the Guardians is still alive. And these guys are really powerful right now. It's going to be really hard to scan them, but I do know they have about 500 or 1,000 hit points. And you don't have the weaponry to take these guys out. So Sarah's probably going to run away from these guys to avoid getting attacked as best as possible. And what she's using there is audio cues at the same time to determine, like, because if you run the whole time, your stamina will run out before the laser fires. So you're constantly learning how to go through all of this.
Tell me about the bottom right corner.
Bottom right corner, yes.
Is that how much noise you're making?
Yes, that is how much noise you are making. That purple meter you see popping up, and now when she's crouched down, now she's sneaking.
So that's important for enemies around you?
You can sneak up on, when enemies are not paying attention, you can sneak up behind them and actually cause more damage to take them out from behind, things along those lines as well.
And what's the icon right above that?
Right, that's a temperature gauge.
Okay.
So there in this particular demo, there is over Mount Helia, there's a cold. Okay. And as you go up to there, the gauge will start going, as it gets colder, that's basically when it hits that, where the blue or the red is, red being heat, blue being cold. When the meter actually gets there, that means that Link is now freezing, and he's going to start taking damage. But you actually can eat certain items to help you have cold resistance, so that blue part will go lower.
Yeah.
Or you can put on a different tunic, perhaps. And actually, speaking of sneaking, right now she is sneaking around. But instead of just taking the bokoblins out directly, she's actually woken up these bees. And now the bees are taking out the enemies as the bokoblins have to now run away.
When she brought up the aiming reticule, there was a number by it. Is that how many arrows you have?
That's how many arrows she currently has left. And the physics do matter as well. So the distance matters. So the arrows don't just shoot straight infinitely. You have to sometimes arc the arrow to worry about all of that. So now she's... Hopefully she'll get a pretty good guard shot. She's trying to... She dodged out of the way. And by dodging, now you can get a special attack if you pull it off the timing correctly. And you can do that with dodging, and you can do it with the shield. So there's perfect dodge or perfect guard. Actually got that encampment. And now we're going to head toward another bokoblin. Now you can even see in the distance up there, there's a shrine.
Right.
That's something you have to kind of worry about as well. And you don't know how to get there yet. You have to figure out how best to get up there. And what now she's going to do is a nice little bonus we have, the Wolf Link Amiibo.
Yeah.
Which, if you play the Legend of Twilight Princess HD, you have the Wolf Link Amiibo. You'll play it up, and any of the hearts that Wolf Link Amiibo gains, when you scan it in here, you'll get that energy from that. So, well, not energy. You'll actually have a partner in the Wolf Link Amiibo. The Wolf Link character is now joining you side by side to help you hunt, help you fight. Right now, this Wolf Link Amiibo has 5 hearts because they've played it up a little bit from Twilight Princess HD.
Yeah.
Now, if the Wolf Link Amiibo dies, you lose him for the day, for a real day.
Okay.
So you have to wait another day before you can bring it up.
Well, speaking of like days and times, we do see a time.
Yes, there is a timer
in the bottom on the map.
Yes, and that actually that's constantly happening, and elements of the game will change at night versus day. Like the certain enemies you'll see will change as well. The bokoblins will be sleeping more, so you actually can sneak up more easily on them as well. And the way it works, I believe, is there's essentially a minute represents an hour of time.
Okay.
So 24 minutes would be a full day. So here we found another hut, and she actually, she was breaking some pots from the classic people might remember as well.
Yeah.
And another cooking area. And actually now she's trying to explore over, I think there's a camp. Oh, she's still just foraging.
Yeah, so like just from running around for this short amount of time, we've seen a lot of different terrain.
Yes,
right?
Terrain's constantly changing, and now she's doing some more foraging. You can climb up almost anything. And what's over here right now is she's getting to a ridge. There's actually a chasm. She can't cross this chasm. So you could try to jump it. You probably would die. But what she did find when she was at that hut is she found an axe. So the environment is important to consider as well. She actually made her own bridge.
Yeah.
Hopefully she can get up there. There she goes.
Got it.
You do have to be careful, though. You do not want to fall.
I mean, if she did, where would she be put?
In the demo, you just come right back to where you're at.
Yeah.
Now she's going to try to sneak up on these bokoblins. And there goes the wolf link.
Does he act on his? Does the wolf act on his own, or can you actually send him to attack?
For now, you basically send him on his own. When he sees things, he'll attack on his own. You can whistle to bring him closer to you at the same time, though. Now we're looking up here is, since we know the map a little bit, we know there is one of the Shrines of Trials, which we haven't gone into yet, is by climbing up this. There's multiple ways to get to this shrine, and since we've gone this whole back way, we're actually climbing up the side of the mountain now. Hopefully she can make it up there. She has to be careful of that stamina gauge.
Looks like she can maybe take a rest here.
She will just make it.
Oh, wow.
Perfectly.
So I love that idea that you can climb on anything, but then you have the stamina meter that keeps you from just being able to go wherever you want.
Anywhere you want. So you have to actually be conscious. And especially when you do that jump she's doing there, that eats up a large amount of your stamina. So you really need to be careful about how much you're using there and how you play out your strategy of how you're going to move around this world. It's a long climb.
Do we know what we're going to find up there?
Yes, one of the Shrines of Trials, actually, and we're going to hopefully have time to go in there.
Do the shrines act as what we know as dungeons?
The shrines are different than the dungeon a little bit, in that there are over 100 shrines in the game, and they're meant to, some are big, some are small, and they're meant to be ways to keep improving yourself, and sometimes you go into a certain shrine, you might not be able to beat that shrine yet, so you can mark it and come back to it at a later point. Now, Mr. Anumu has mentioned there will be dungeons that are different. We're not sharing any details on the dungeons yet this time, so the focus is more on these Shrines of Trials that you can discover all over the world in different ways.
Well, hopefully we actually make it in the shrine, but in case we don't, like, what do you find enemies and puzzles inside?
It's usually puzzles, and sometimes there's one solution. Sometimes some of the shrines have multiple solutions.
Cool.
The shrine she's trying to get to, and it was a long climb. She's almost there. But yeah, this shrine particularly she's going to, if I remember correctly, is going to those shrines though is often how you get you can get new runes. So we already showed you the remote bombs where you can toss those. There's a round one which rolls, or a square one which you can place down, so you can think strategically of how you want to leverage those kind of items. We showed you the magnesis, which is that magnet portion, and there are 2 other runes in the demo that people can experience. And she's almost up there to the top, and she made it.
Nice.
So we'll hopefully get a chance to go inside the Shrine of Owa Daim. And you saw right there, there's a little kind of a skeleton creature there, a staff bokoblin, which is a different kind of character. It's nighttime now. The characters do change.
No,
it's good. Hopefully we get inside the shrine.
I think we're out of time. Man, I want to see more.
You want to see a shrine? Hopefully we'll have a chance to show a shrine tomorrow as well.
Yeah, we do have another demo of the show of Zelda on the show tomorrow.
So we'll be showing more of the game as well. A little bit more of the story element as well.
Yeah. Oh man. Daniel, thank you so much for coming by the show.
Sure. No, thanks.
I'm so excited to see more of The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Yes.
Stay tuned. More here at IGN Live at E3 2016 after this.